welcome to another episode of Two Sisters of a Certain Age, Conversations with a Therapist
and a Doctor.
I'm your co-host, Judy Grant, licensed marriage and family therapist.
And I'm your co-host, Dr. Sophia Grant, board-certified pediatrician and board-certified child abuse pediatrician.
So, Candy, we are recently back from Kentucky.
Yes.
And we attended a beautiful wedding there of our cousin and his bride, Jessica. And it was our first time in Kentucky.
I went when I was in medical school for a Janet Jackson concert.
Okay, there you go. Sorry. Where did you go? Was that Lexington, Louisville?
No, I think it was Louisville, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the last time I was in Kentucky.
Okay,
yeah.
So my first trip, and we went to this small town called Paint Lick, Kentucky. Beautiful, so green. The sky is so clear.
Yeah.
I mean, it was picturesque.
Fireflies dancing in the night.
Fireflies, the cicadas, like you heard.
Cicada,
sounds of wildlife just all around you. It was really something special. And as much as we appreciated the beauty,
but
it got a little creepy, people. It got a little creepy.
Yeah, let me tell you what.
All right.
Judy had never stayed at a bed and breakfast. So right. I said, oh my gosh, let's stay at this bed and breakfast. My experience with a bed and breakfast, it's like an inn. There are people there. Oh, go down the street. There's an antique mall. There's this. Like, you know, and then you have a nice breakfast and you stay in a historic building. And then the first night we got there, we were the only ones there. Mm-hmm. Not only were we the only ones there was nobody on site.
Right.
We were the only ones in the building in this big house.
Built in 1840.
And then we got to thinking, was this a plantation? And then there are all these outbuildings, and we're like, what happened up yonder?
Yep.
What's going on? And these two city slickers were terrified.
Well, hold on. It got creepier because the caretaker told us that we were going to be alone, and she's like, oh, but there'll be more guests tomorrow. And this was still daytime, so it hadn't really set in. And then we went to dinner and came back, and it's getting a little dark. And on the road to the bed and breakfast, like a 2-lane road, where we're seeing, again, beautiful landscapes, but also these outbuildings. Half of them have fallen into disrepair because probably they're very, very old, but they keep them there. They don't demolish them. They just sit there and kind of rot. And it would be beautiful if I was a photographer. But as a city slicker, I'm thinking,
what's going on in the shed, Jeb? Yeah.
What's going on in the shed? And then let's be real. We just saw Sinners. And I'm thinking, we saw Sinners. This is where Remick is.
Yes.
So we've got Remick in our head.
And then we did have Get Out in our head too, because we would be driving and we'd see a bunch of cars parked outside a barn, like lined up, and you're like, what are they doing? And we're like, are they
people? We just saw the cars. And I'm like, I know they're congregating somewhere.
Right. And we don't know what meeting is taking place. So, that first night was kind of terrifying. But
what?
We got over it. You want to tell the nitty gritty?
I think we should. I think we should. If for no other reason, it's just pure comedy entertainment.
Yes, it is comedy.
But
it did have the makings of a good horror movie.
Yes.
It really did.
We absolutely could write a screenplay about our experience.
Yeah.
So we get up to the bed and breakfast, and Candy tells me, back in so we can make a quick getaway.
Yep.
So we back in and we're sitting in the car for 15 minutes debating if we're going to go in because now it's getting dark. Are we going to spend the night there, or are we going to go back into Richmond or Berea and get a different hotel? My sister suggested, I feel safer sleeping in the car. I'm like, that is not safer. And she's like, well, at least we'd be in the car and we could take off. Anyway, call my husband. Rick kind of
he talked us down.
Talks us down. And we're like, let's just go in. We walk in. We turn on all the lights. I grab a big ass butcher knife from the kitchen. We lock all the doors. And one of the doors wasn't locking and we're freaked out by that. But we lock the doors. We lock ourselves into our bedroom, which is up the staircase. And we're in this staircase. I'm like, keep your shoes by the bed. I have the car keys, my purse, my shoes, whatever, everything right here. We also have a beautiful balcony from our room. And we're kind of in bed. We really don't want to go to sleep. And I say, Candy, if we have to, we're going to have to jump. We're going to have to jump
the balcony.
And you say what?
I can't. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. So, because honestly, if I jumped the balcony, I would have maimed myself, and I couldn't run anyway. So I would have to stand fight.
You could use your burst strap.
Yeah. It was just a couple of city slickers. The place was lovely.
Yes.
We had no issues.
None.
But there were some moments of terror and fright.
Right.
If not for... Thank you, Ryan Coogler, and thank you, Jordan Peele.
For planting those seeds in our heads. And the next morning when I came down with the giant knife and I gave it to Miss Amy, she was just hysterical. She was hysterical.
Yeah.
She's like, there is no crime in Paint Lick, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I have to say later, when we're speaking to the bride's father, he told us there are some stories about that house. And I'm thinking, those are ghost stories, but he didn't tell us.
But he didn't tell us because we were still staying there. Yeah. So next time we will see if there are any stories about the Denny house in Paint Lick, Kentucky.
But apart from that, Miss Amy is lovely, makes a wonderful breakfast, beautiful china. It's really, really special. Take all of that other stuff away, and it's a great spot. Just don't be.
And you know, if we weren't from LA or anything like that, I don't think any of that stuff would have crossed our minds. But you know, self-preservation.
Yeah. Okay. So long preamble into what we want to talk about today. And this actually happened while we were away. So if we have any tennis fans out there, Coco Gauff won
the French
Open. The first time in 10 years that an American has won the French Open. And
is this for men and women or just women? The last person to win was Serena.
So it's 10 years since Serena.
Okay.
I don't know about the men. But her response to it, her joy, she is like sobbing on the court. She's laying on the court. It was so moving. And I as a Black woman, seeing a young Black woman excel to the highest
level.
She's just
21. Yeah.
Highest level. Yeah. Like so proud, so happy for her, and just overwhelmed with joy for this young lady who did it.
Yeah, she did it.
So we reveled in her joy with her from afar. And then we started seeing news reports from her opponent. And this is what got to us.
Let's not even say her name. Yeah.
No, I don't need to say her name.
So the woman, instead of saying Coco played a great game, wow, She's the champion. She said, if I hadn't made so many mistakes, if I hadn't done so many stupid things, she would not have won. And then she said, like, she named somebody else and said,
another opponent that she would have beaten Coco.
yeah. And I'm like, so you know this woman, she's clearly salty, right? But why does she have to be like that? Like, you lost because Coco played better than you on that day.
Period. Let's not talk End of story.
Yeah, a win is a win. Whether it's stupid mistakes or whether she overpowered you, it's still a win. And it was so annoying that she couldn't let Coco just have her flower. I mean, many people are happy, but Coco said people were chanting the other woman's name.
Right.
While she was playing. And the truth is that the tennis court, it's just like racism. And thank God for Venus and Serena Williams and Arthur Ashe and Althea Gibson. But Arthur Ashe, I think there was a time where he was on the tennis circuit and he was going to go to South Africa to play, and they didn't want him to play. So I can't remember what match it was or tournament. So the Americans pulled out until they were, everybody was allowed back in. But, the golf course, the tennis court, very elite.
Come on, Candy. Like any sport out there.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's basketball and football where people expect to see black bodies doing the work and taking the damage. But I think the tennis court and the golf course, I mean, like Augusta and all of these whites only places and spaces. So, it got me thinking about how when we as Black women, as Black people win, we are expected to be gracious. We're expected to say, it was a tough game, but I'm so glad that I won. We can't show any confidence because confidence is perceived as arrogance. When Serena, as a little girl, during that interview, you can look it up, said, oh yeah, I can win. And her hair was in braids with the little beads. And the guy, the interviewer, was asking, you think you can win? You're really confident. You think you can win? And then her father, Richard, steps in and said, she said she could win. She's a little girl. But Serena has been bucking that her entire life.
Yes, she has.
And when we express frustration, all of a sudden it's not sportsmanlike, but certain things are tolerated in people, in non-Black people. Remember when Simone Biles had to pull out of the Olympics because what was it that she said? She had the twisties or the bendies where she just felt she wasn't in a right mental space to participate. And she was maligned because no matter what you're going through mentally, we are entitled to your labor. Right. I don't care. Like Naomi Osaka pulled out because she needed to take time off. And she was maligned and berated and given no grace.
Right. And Candy, remind
me. Given no grace.
Was it, I want to say her name was Surya Bonali. And she was an ice skater. Was she British? French?
No, she was French. She was from an African country, I think adopted by a white family, is French. And she was a powerful skater.
She was so powerful. She was able to do a backflip on the ice and land it every single time. And then the Ice Federation said, yeah, that's not allowed. Guess what? Because the other skaters were unable to do it. So they wouldn't give her flowers and acknowledge her skill.
It's the same thing with Simone Biles. She has done some difficult things and she has been disqualified because it's so difficult. the other people can't do it, and it presents a risk of health or harm. So, you're disqualified for that. But remember when Michael Phelps, the great swimmer who's run like 200 medals, he was going through some mental health depression, and he had to take time off. And then a video came out, and he was smoking marijuana on a bong. And people said, wow, he's really struggling.
Oh.
Wow. And then he lost his Kellogg's endorsement. And then when Sha'Carri Richardson tested positive for marijuana, she was disqualified for 30 days. That meant she didn't get to compete to go to the Olympics. And she was, again, berated and tormented. And she had been smoking marijuana, I think, because her grandmother died. Now, the thing is, you're an athlete, you don't do, and the thing is, marijuana is not a performance enhancing drug,
Right.
But the difference between how a man was treated and how a woman was treated, how a white person was treated, how a black person was treated. I mean, it's like, I am so tired of having us to have grace and to just be so demure and to, oh, no, thank you, rather than Muhammad Ali was the first person to say, I am the greatest. I am the greatest. I mean, he just, and he stood in that. And that was bold. That was really bold. Yeah. But we can't walk around saying that we're all that. We don't have that luxury.
It's because when we, like you said, when we say that, now we're arrogant. And if we get even just a little bit frustrated with what's going on, now we're angry. Yeah. Now we're aggressive. Yeah. But if somebody else who was of a different culture said the same thing, it would be acceptable.
But remember John McEnroe and his tantrums he used to have on the court? And then, like, after he stopped competing, they did commercials where he was kind of duplicating that like it's a big joke.
Yeah, I remember.
But John McEnroe, I met him in person, and I wanted to pull him aside and say, you're a jerk. Not because of those tantrums, but one time he was doing some commentating, and this grown-ass man said, I know if I played Serena, I could beat her. Okay, let's unpack that.
Right.
Why do you want to play a woman and it's not like mixed doubles? Why are you saying that you can beat her as if that's you're a freaking man, you have testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you say that out loud? Why aren't you saying that about Navratilova or anybody else?
Right.
But remember, for so long, people were saying Serena is masculine.
Mm-hmm.
They were body shaming her. Now, when I look at Serena, yeah, she's a big woman, but she's got some chest, she got some butt, she got some hips. That is not a masculine body. That's a powerful body, but it's not masculine.
Yeah. It's and you want to believe that we're past it, or that society,
no, we're not past it. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But you want to believe like they're just going to look at Coco, look at Serena, look at any person of color in these sports and just, damn, they're just good.
Right.
And that's it. No label, no nothing. They're just an amazing player, period, end of story. But then you have to come back with some backhanded comment that's clearly a racist attack. Now, I was pleased to see on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, a young white woman was like, let's call this for what it is.
Yeah.
She cannot handle a black woman, a woman of color, beating her. So she needs to demean her efforts in order to make herself feel better about the loss.
Right, but I mean, you and I can say that, and people won't listen. But it takes somebody who is of the majority
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
point that out for people to listen. Like, I mean, somebody might tune in and say, "Oh, two black women just ranting."
Oh yeah,
Why
we're
does it?
probably angry.
I know.
We're probably thinking
Why
we're
does it
angry.
always have to be about race? Because it always is about race.
And it's evident in so many places. I did a little research on this. I mean, we can go
Mm-hmm.
back to Jackie Robinson, 1947. Faced relentless racial slurs, threats, and hostility from fans, opposing players, and even some teammates. Okay, you mentioned football, where you're accustomed to seeing black men on the field, but when Colin Kaepernick gets down on one knee, that's a problem. Um,
Yeah.
Instead of sparking widespread dialogue, he faced severe backlash, including being unsigned by NFL team. I don't know if that his career has ever bounced back from that.
No, it hasn't.
You know?
And he should have gotten half the backlash because he's half white.
No, listen, there's the one drop rule. You forget.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, you mentioned Naomi Osaka. Um, you mentioned who's this? Monkey chants and racist abuse in soccer. Black
Oh yeah,
soccer players
that's all over
worldwide
Europe.
have endured
That's
monkey
all over
chants
Europe.
and objects being thrown at them during games.
Bananas thrown on the soccer field.
Mario Balotelli, Raheem Sterling, targets. And then, of course, Serena. She's aggressive. She's angry. Her accomplishments are sometimes downplayed or attributed to physicality rather than skill and dedication to the sport.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Oh my God.
the thing is, I'm just tangent, but not really. Our current political climate makes it even harder
Yeah,
because people of color are seen, whether it's you, Candy, in your position, or me in mine, as oh, now it's not an affirmative action. They're like, oh, that's a DEI hire.
yeah.
And we are being second guessed all the time, and our education, our experience, or our commitment to a sport is not being realized for what it is because, well, they're just black. They can't really
Yeah.
be that good. They can't really be that educated. They can't really be that strong or advanced or equipped or this or that or the other. So, you know what? Maybe I am an angry black woman.
I think you have every right to be.
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of the same shit over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Speaking of football, sometimes, well, that for the longest there weren't any black football coaches because we weren't smart enough to coach, or black quarterbacks.
Right.
And then when people got compensated for injury on the field in football, black people were compensated less, black men, because they said our intellect wasn't as high. So we, if you want to lose IQ points, we were starting off lower. But I mean, the thing is, there's racism in everything. But I think what my frustration lies in the fact that we always have to give people grace. We always have to be like, when you have somebody who commits a hate crime against a black family and then the black people are saying, we forgive him. And I am not going to be the one to be there forgiving. I can't do that. That's not me. I'm going to say this is racism. I hope they are victimized in jail. I hope they rot in hell. I'm just, like, I love Jesus, but I don't think he lives in every pore of my body. Because that vindictiveness, I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it. There's so much to be angry about. And then, when it comes to your kids experiencing racism, nothing, my kids, when they were in school, they encountered racism, but then they never told me because they knew I would show up at the school with a news crew and Al Sharpton. You know, they knew that I would do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we've talked about this before, but you know, just navigating the spaces that we're in, I've encountered a lot of racism. And you know, a dear friend said some things to me that were very disturbing. And when I called her on it, we stopped being friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 40 plus years of friendship.
Yeah.
And I was willing to put that aside, use it as a moment to be vulnerable and tell her about all the other times I've encountered racism and I didn't say anything. But because I was close to her, I felt like I could share. And this woman said I was demonstrating reverse racism against her. And I was, you know, you're a smart woman, you can learn. But we couldn't move. I was willing to move past it, but she has not moved past it, and we're no longer friends.
No.
But
No.
you know, with people that you're close to, you hope you can share. You can say, you know, when you said that, it hurt my feelings, and let me tell you why.
Right.
But yeah, we couldn't move past it. And you know, as a woman, or as I say, a grown ass woman who's 58, like I'm not going to be groveling for friendship. I'm not going to be putting up with stuff and be, oh, she didn't mean it. I'm not,
No.
you know. But the thing is, she couldn't stand being called on it. She couldn't stand me holding up the mirror.
Yeah, Candy, there's multiple books about that. I'm immediately thinking of White Fragility, you know,
Yeah.
where they talk about like not being able to handle the conversations. I mean,
Yeah.
we could go on and on and on. But it's we really just wanted to, I don't know, shout out to Coco Gauff. I'm
Shout
so
out to
happy for you,
Coco.
girl. So happy for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you demonstrated such dignified grace and elegance when you did not clap back when you could have. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you absolutely could
Right.
have. But you recognize, like, you know what, this isn't the place for it, and let her spew whatever she's going to spew. But I know who I am, and I know that I'm the best, and I know that I won this fair and square. Um,
Now, when that, go ahead.
and as I said that, you know, she came out and responded in such a dignified, elegant manner. I hope in that moment you didn't feel like you had to squash what you were really thinking and feeling, or maybe you just saved that for your girlfriends. um
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but I still admire how you handled that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And you know what's funny is I was practicing, like, if I was Coco and that stuff went down, what would I say that would be palatable for the general public?
Right.
You know, and I came up with, you know, I disagree with that sentiment, but she is entitled to that opinion. That's all I could, you know, I think that that
Mm-hmm.
would have been a gracious way of dealing with that situation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're so good at being gracious and putting things in nice fluffy words and things like that. Have you
You know.
ever gone off on somebody who said something
Yeah.
crazy?
Yes.
Wait, when?
um
When?
Okay, I'm trying to think of this specific. It wasn't about, this was years ago before my therapeutic training. But
Uh-huh.
I think it was, you know, with certain quote unquote friends in my life that I recognized really didn't have a place in my life, no longer served me. So I said
Mm-hmm.
my piece and got out. Um, but I was just meeting with a client before recording, and we were talking about um, those emails that you write out of anger, and I'm encouraging them to just leave it in your draft, come back to it, review it before you send it, because once it's out there, it's out. So
Right.
yes, I do try to find the more diplomatic approach and a palatable approach, so then the person on the receiving end isn't then going to be pissed off. It's like, okay, now we
Right.
can have a conversation. Because if I just
Right.
fire off in anger, it's just going to be a back and forth, and it serves no one.
Right. But I will say, I once wrote an email in anger, left it in my drafts, edited it. I thought I was smooth, like velvet,
Right.
calm. And
Right.
Judy was like, "Oh no, Candy, this is," and I was like, "This is my cool down email." And Judy helped to rewrite that email for me. So I wouldn't even say leave it in your drafts and come back to it. Find a level headed friend,
Mm.
read it to them,
Hmm.
and have them, you know, kind of smooth it out. But two of my girls, both of my girls, when they got into college, Haley got into USC and she got multiple scholarships from many schools. And one of her friends said, "Oh, you're so lucky you're Black. You get so many scholarships." And she dropped that friend, no longer friends with her. And that young woman, my son was friends with her brother, and sometimes, like when Boogie was in college, the female friend and the brother would come to the house, and Haley would be upstairs and her former friend is downstairs, and she wouldn't come down to say hello or anything. She just cut her out.
Hmm.
And then also when Yaya got into school, she got into some very elite schools, scholarships. She had another friend who said, "Oh, you're lucky you get all those scholarships." As if Yaya didn't just graduate Phi Beta Kappa Summa
Right.
Cum
Didn't
Laude,
work her ass
double
off
major.
to get those
Yeah,
scholarships.
yeah, and that kind of minimizing of the achievement, it hurt so much.
Hmm.
But Yaya cut that girl out, Haley, and good for them. You don't need that toxicity.
Right. No, they don't. No,
Yeah.
they don't. Wow. I just it's particularly hard right now because there is a lot going down in Los Angeles, and it
Yeah.
stems from racism. Um, I can't even get into all of it, but it's a shit show. Um, and it's very concerning and scary and all of those things. Uh, but I gotta maintain some hope, Candy. I gotta
Well,
I
I
gotta
I
feel
I
like
I I definitely agree. And every time Barack Obama gives a speech, he talks about hope. He talks about hope in the young people. And sometimes, there is a feeling of despair. But let me tell you something. When I was at the Howard graduation and I see all of these bright, young, smart, uh, Black students, scholars going into the world, that gives me hope.
yeah, it
Because,
does.
like, our generation, we're tired, and we're not even as tired. We didn't even go through all the stuff that the people before us
Right.
went through.
Yeah.
But that gives me hope. Anytime I see young people who are able to stand up rather than stand by,
Hmm.
I feel hopeful.
Mm.
But it's hard when you feel like the collective, the majority of people have lost their mind, and you're like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? How are you okay with this? But keep hope alive.
Hmm.
Keep hope alive. Let people be. Let people be.
And you know what? I'm thinking back to Coco for a second. Just like she used to probably watched, she watched Serena, she watched
Oh,
Venus,
yeah.
and the little girls watching her,
Mm-hmm.
and she representing and excelling and paving the way for other little Black and brown girls to follow her footsteps on
Yeah.
those courts or wherever they choose to go. Um, I'm thinking of Misty Copeland right now.
Oh yeah,
Just
I hear Misty's retiring after 25 years at
oh,
the ABT. Yeah. Yeah, what a
first Black
career.
prima ballerina.
What a
Um,
career.
I'm now thinking of Debbie Allen and how they told her she didn't have the body for a dancer.
Mhm.
But anyway, I digress. Way to represent
Mhm.
and show the young people that they too can achieve. And as hard as it might be, and they might have comments, they might have things said to them, done to them, etc., etc., just keep doing what you're doing and
Yeah,
do it
and
to your
then you're always going to have a village of aunties who are and uncles who are just rooting for you.
yeah.
Rooting for you.
We may never meet, but we're out
Yeah,
here.
but we are rooting for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Two Sisters of a Certain Age, Conversations with a Therapist and a Doctor. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us and maybe even hearing a little bit from an angry Black woman. But I'm going to own it. I own who I am. Yeah, just thank you for being here. Candy, how can folks reach us and maybe share their stories?
Email us at SOCA podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, the number 2 Sisters of a Certain Age, and on YouTube, 2 SOCA.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. See you next time.
No Longer Network.